Hey, you. Yeah, you. What you doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm starting my week off right with Talking About the Blues podcast, baby.
What's going on? What's going on? You are now bluesing with the #1 blues broadcast in New York City, talking about the blues, baby. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like the Facebook page, and subscribe to the website. Stay tuned for our live interviews, baby. We have a very special guest with us today, Laja, coming to you from Gary, Indiana, the home of Michael Jackson. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The Jackson 5. As a matter of fact, I live around the corner from Jackson home.
You live, was it 3500 Jackson Street home?
2200. I think it's 22.
2200?
Yeah, Jackson Street. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the song.
2200 Jackson Street.
That's right, that's right. So we want to talk about your music, though. Though it's always great to speak about the Jacksons, let's talk about Laja, all right?
Okay, sounds good.
So now,
Thanks.
You're welcome. Let's start with the beginnings of your journey, okay? When did you fall in love with music and the blues?
Well, I've always been in love with music, but I wasn't always capable, is what I refer to it as. Back in the 90s, I married Koko Taylor's piano player.
Wow, okay.
And being part of that scene, it was always thought that I knew how to rise to the occasion. There were many times that Koko asked me to come on stage and take over because she was tired, because as an older person, you tend to get tired. And each time I said, oh, no, I can't do that. So one day I said, well, if I'm going to be around, I need to know how to do some of this. So my husband at the time, being a music educator, classically trained pianist, started working with me doing lessons and runs and things like that. Long story short, I initially started singing jazz because I thought if you can sing jazz, which is more technical, then blues should be a breeze to do.
Right.
Well, little did I know, when you get used to singing jazz, flipping the script to blues is more difficult because now almost anything goes, and it has to be a powerful kind of, rendering of what you're doing. And I discovered that blues is more fun. Not to diminish jazz and the effect it has, but blues is so much more fun. You can really express yourself and really have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, that's good. Wait. I'm sorry. I want to stop you for a minute right there because you said something that we should elaborate on. Okay. So now we know blues and jazz are cut from the same cloth because they both came from the same people and same place.
Right. Exactly.
But exactly. However, you just made it clear there's a distinct difference in. Now we're speaking technically and trained to a degree, because whether you're technically trained or not, I still believe that if you go to jazz or blues, there is a different form of expression. So you're saying it's a fundamental difference in performing both songs.
Exactly. When I think of a jazz song, for example, Fly Me to the Moon. Fly Me to the Moon is very melodic depending on how you deliver it. So the melody plays an important role in the delivery. And let's say Good Morning Heartache, which they tend to include in jazz repertoire. It may not be a jazz song, but they tend to, if you're doing a jazz set, Good Morning Heartache is not unheard of to be in that, or Misty. You sing it differently, whereas in a blues situation, it's about the backbeat a lot of times. It's about those heavy bass lines, and it's about making sure the audience has a lot of fun, and you're not holding phrases for extended periods of time. It's kind of short and choppy, and it's about the party. And that's, I think, where the differences lie.
It's belting.
Belting, that too. That too, definitely.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just for those who didn't know, I thought that was interesting and something to go into. Okay, so now you've found out, not to take away, but you enjoy the fun of singing blues. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I enjoy the fun of singing blues. You get to do the little groove on the stage. You get to interact with your band members and have a little fun. I've called people from the audience. They look like they were really enjoying it. They come on the stage, they sing a little bit, and they do a little dance. And it's fun for everybody. It really is.
Okay, so now your husband, who's classically trained, was assisting you in empowering your voice. Go ahead.
Exactly. We spent 5 days a week, late nights, learning the scales. On Saturdays, I had opera lessons. Periodically during the week, middays, I would work with a jazz vocalist that was doing both jazz and blues, and my job was to be her background singer and be able to duplicate what she was doing, so pretty much covering her voice
Right.
so that it could be richer and fuller. So in trying, the fact that I had some training for the jazz, I was able to mimic her voice and then make the sound fuller. But then it got to be to a point where I needed to stretch out more. So I kind of branched off to try to get my feet wet, see how it worked out. And I ended up where I am today.
Wow.
Working on a music video and about to tour the world.
That's what it's about.
Talking About the Blues mission is to celebrate our heritage and preserve blues music. Join the movement and go to www.talkingabouttheblues.com. That's TalkingAboutTheBlues.com. Go to our story page, and there you will find information on how to donate to the cause. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and subscribe to our YouTube page. And don't forget to keep bluesing.
Before we go deeper into your journey, I would like to discuss the importance of the journey you just shared with us, because you actually started from the basic fundamentals of being a vocal performer. Like, you took the lessons, you were a backup singer. Is this really important to be able to be the front person?
You have to be a team member before you can be the leader of the team. And it's the same works in the music industry. Unless you were someone that was brought up in the church and you sang in the church from a child growing up.
Right.
I never had that opportunity. I was in the choir, but I never led any songs, so I didn't have the experience of being on a stage. And it's all about what you're doing and how you support your lead singer. If you can't support the lead singer and you cannot compliment what the band is doing, then you're not a good team member, and you could never even aspire to be the leader of the group. So it's important to me to nail that and make sure I was solid on that before I moved on to greener pastures, so to speak.
Dig it. Dig it. Now, I hope you guys are taking notes, because you're getting free courses right now.
Yes. The life of music, right?
Yeah, yeah. So now let's talk about your music right now. You did inform that you have a video and a single out, but before we get to that, do you write your own songs? Are you covering? Did you start covering and then move into original pieces?
Well, actually, what transpired was when I made, to believe it or not, I made the decision to do blues March of 2014. In January, I was tinkering around with Joliet-based producer Dion Wofford, and we were talking about how blues, being a Chicago native, blues is what's really happening in Chicago more so than jazz. So let's get me started on, let's do blues. Don't see why I can't do it. Let's just do it. And then by the time my first date is that I was planning to do, I would have my originals done. My first gig, March of 2014, was at Buddy Guy's Legends.
Wow.
So that was a testament to my commitment to being able to make the transition from jazz to blues and do it on a really big venue that's internationally known all over the world.
Absolutely.
If you can start off at Buddy Guy's, you can't do anything but continue on that path. It's not even going to go higher. Buddy Guy's is like the pinnacle of blues anywhere in the world. People know it all around the country. So I started writing with my producer. We just talk about different things going on in life. Like, for example, the single is Busted. Everybody's gotten busted. Well, not everybody. Some have gotten busted at some point in time or another, as kids, as adults, in relationships or what have you.
Right.
So when you start writing about things that you're living in your life or you've seen or observed, that makes it a little more closer to home. So we actually started in January. We finished in March, and enough time to have the CD available for the patrons to purchase it.
Nice.
And that's kind of how it happened.
Okay, so now that was a loaded statement, because there's so many things we can discuss there, right?
Right.
Because now, right now, see, because now, and I was going to wait till later in the interview, but let's address this now, because as an artist, you're an entrepreneur. This is your brand.
Right.
Right. So what you just stated, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys prepared product, or as the in term now, merch, to sell at this show, correct?
Correct, absolutely. You must have something, because that just delineates you as an artist, a performing artist. Anybody can come to a show, can sing cover tunes, but to take the time, the money, and the expense to do originals, your own merchandise. I have T-shirts, I have keychains, I have mugs, I have glasses, I have all kinds of stuff. But if you don't have that, then you're just a cover band.
Right.
So if you want to be classified as an artist, and I'm a blues artist, I have what it takes to say, yes, we can book her at a major venue. And they have levels of artistry. I mean, can you do a festival? If you can do a festival, you're at the top of that echelon of artistry. But if you can only do a local club, then you haven't gone very far at that point.
Right.
So
you're still in the beginning stage. You're still in the beginning stages, so to speak.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
As soon as you create that original product, you have crossed from the beginning stages to the major leagues. As soon as that's pressed.
Now, with that being said, let's talk some more business here, and then we'll get back to your personal journey with music and everything like that. Based on what you shared, again, it sounds like you have this planned out. You're confident in what you're saying, because you guys sat down and you made a conscious plan. Is that correct?
Absolutely. To even take that a step further, we refer to it as Team Laja. I have a music attorney. I have a publicist. The publicist that I work with is John PR in Houston. I have a radio promoter. His name is Ty Glazier. I have a manager, a personal manager, and I have a road manager. So the purpose of this team is to be able to get Laja into the major publications, get Laja played on the major blues radio stations, and then get Laja prepared to be nominated for what they used to refer to the W.C. Handy Award.
Right.
It's now called the Blues Music Award. So I have put myself in position with this team Laja to do all of that for 2015. Now, 2014, I got into the game, and I found out who the players were, made sure I had them part of my team, and now I can propel forward to the point of being nominated. And you need those team members even to get in the door to be nominated. So that was how I kind of crafted my journey. The publicist first gave me a marketing plan. He listed out how we were going to approach the market, who we were going to target, so that it was not a wasted effort. You can put a CD out, or you can get lucky and sell it from the trunk of your car. But if you don't do something focused and very direct, the chances are slimmer that you won't make it to where you need to be versus having a team to work with you.
Now, I really would like the independent artists to really pay attention to what's being said right now, because there is a misconception, and I've spoken to my share of artists, and I'm an artist as well, so I can vouch for this. You cannot do all these things by yourself. Independent artist does not mean that, and please, people who are good engineers and record in your room, I'm not bashing you, because you have you're able to do something some of us can't, but it's more than that. It's way more than that, and that's what you're describing. So are you on a label, or you are an independent artist?
Currently, I'm an independent artist. My attorney is shopping a couple of the major blues labels right now, and what I've decided that if I do not get generate the interest that I'm looking for, then as of May, I will go and put it on my own label. Now, the difference between being with a major label and being independent is, do you have distribution? If you can get a distribution deal, not saying that it's not good to be on a label, but that's all you really need a label for, was to get your product out. And you're not going to get as many pennies I use pennies as for lack of better words. You're
Right.
not going to do as many pennies if you're with the major as you would be with the distribution company. Because if the label with the distribution company, they're going to craft it so that they make their money back because of that advance they gave you and all the other many things you say you want. All that's going to be paid back.
Right.
Off the
Immediately.
top. So I chose, I'm going to, if they don't give me the deal I'm looking for, I'm going to choose to use my distribution company. They supply all the major big box stores, Target, Walmart, the whole 9 yards. Any town that I'm in, they feed to the mom and pop record stores. So if you're on a tour, let's say you're on a 10-leg tour, every city along that 10-leg tour will have your CD in their store so that people can buy the CD prior to coming to your show so they can get it autographed. They also take care of all the online stuff, the Amazon, the iTunes, CD Baby, all that. So it's all packaged into a neat kind of deal. So I don't have to have a label, but it's nice to have that support.
Right.
That way you don't have to worry about everything being on you, because when you with a label, you're going to have tour support.
Right.
Tour support means if you want to have your stage, I mean, not literally, but if you want a Janet Jackson kind of special effects kind of show, your tour support from that label is supposed to make that happen.
That's
now, you
right.
don't do that in blues, don't get me wrong, but just the idea, it's not going to be at my expense.
Right.
So that'll be the difference. So to make it clear again, it's great to have a label representation, but if you can make it happen as an independent artist and you have distribution, well, that's the key. If you have distribution, then you can go independent, and it works out better for you when you do that, when you divide the dollars up. It works out better.
What's going on? What's going on? You are now bluesing with the #1 blues broadcast in New York City, talking about the blues, baby. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like the Facebook page, and subscribe to the website. Stay tuned for our live interviews, baby. Keep bluesing. Is it safe to say that you're grandfathered into this? Because now, prior to the experiences with, now let's be real clear. Koko Taylor is a legend in the blues world community, black history. Okay, we're talking about
right.
Chess Records, Koko Taylor, Wang Dang
Right.
Doodle.
That's right.
Okay, so now you graced the stage. You sang with. You actually was handed a microphone from Koko Taylor.
Exactly.
So you guys,
I'll never forget it.
listen. I hope you guys are listening to this. Okay, that's like you know that's really the baton being passed. That's humongous.
Exactly.
Right. So now, prior to that experience, being around Koko and performing with her, and being asked to perform with her, were you performing on a lower scale or getting your chops up, or just in that, you know, this is something I think I want to do, but not yet?
Prior to being handed the microphone by Koko, I did not do anything that resembled singing other than humming on the side of the stage where the wives would sit. My job literally was to come glamorous, gorgeous, diva-looking like, so that everybody would be impressed by me, because my husband had the diva sitting in the corner. You know, that was my job, just to look good. That was it. That's all I had to do. But I had star power, obviously, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me tell you how you can get official Talking About the Blues merchandise. Go to our online store at www.talkingabouttheblues.com, where you can purchase t-shirts, hoodies, mouse pads, mugs, and iPad cases. Once you receive your merchandise, send us a pic, and we'll post it on our website and different social media sites to let people know you are a part of the Talking About the Blues community. Keep bluesing.
So now, let's talk about your single.
Okay.
And you said it's called Busted.
Yes, Busted. That's the name of the single.
Okay.
One of the lines in Busted says, I believe you've been sneaking around on me for the longest time. You ain't hit it. For the last few nights, you ain't spending no time with me. So right there, you know something's going on.
Right.
Something's going on. And then we get to the bridge of the song, and it says, "You done told your last lie. Who is it you've been creeping around with? Because baby, I got the evidence." And the video follows that storyline.
Okay, so you did a narrative music video, so it's somewhat like a short film.
Basically, that's what it boils down to. It's a short film. It's broken up into 3 different locations because you got to create the story. So one of the scenes is at the club, you singing the song. Another scene is at the hotel where my girlfriend that he doesn't know is my girlfriend that he's about to creep with, they're at the hotel getting dressed to get ready to come to my show. He doesn't know that my girlfriend is bringing him to my show. So when he gets to the show, I leave off the stage, and it's like, so really?
Busted.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Busted. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So now, who worked with you on the album?
Dionne Wofford is the producer of the album. If you're familiar with Chicago great musicians, the Walter Scott family, Sir Walter Scott, was knighted by the Queen of England. And he has his generations under him, like his nephews and things up under him. His nephew, Hollywood Scott, is my guitar player on the CD. His other nephew, Jawan Mann Scott, plays bass. I have a young man named T.Y. on drums, another guy named Jeremiah Thomas on drums. I have Southside Stevie. He's my Caucasian brother. He's playing harmonica. And I have, who else? Background singers, which I refer to as my support singers. Denise Berry, she's on background vocals, as well as a guy named Mickey. So I have a really good cast of thousands, as you would say.
Yeah.
If you're in Chicago, these names, they pop up. Oh, man, they on your CD? Oh, my God. So they're pretty good. When you listen to it, it's pretty flawless.
Right. It sounds like you have an all-star cast right there, all-star team.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we have heavy hitters. Nothing but the best. Nothing but the best. But it's a community, and the community supports each other. So even though I'm new to the blues, I'm the freshman on the scene, they still reach back. And that's part of what people have to remember. Just because you've made it to the top, he plays for, what is his name? I can't think of some of the guys that they play for right now, but the point is they reach back. Even though they're on the world tours, he came in town in between his tour to be able to record with me to show that it's not about how big a name you are. It's about giving back so we can continue to keep blues alive. And that's part of the ongoing thing that the Blues Society, National Blues Society is doing now.
Right.
They're trying to keep blues alive. And if you don't reach back to those that are coming along, it's going to end at some point.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that because, you know, we're getting, thank God, a nice boom in blues music, which seems to have been dying for a moment. It was almost cultish. It was just in little pockets. Yeah. You know, do you feel optimism about the fact that the original music of our people and of America is actually coming back to life?
I think it's coming back to life because they have so many workshops and things that they're gearing towards the youth. As a matter of fact, this past summer, because I'm still an independent person, I competed with the Peoria's Budweiser International Blues Challenge.
Oh, okay.
Memphis Challenge.
The IBC.
I was very surprised that the young people that were doing it were like in the teens.
Wow.
Now, in the midst of competing, they don't have the experience to know how to play to the judges. I have to put it that way, play to the judges.
Right.
So they're looking at stage presence, they're looking at costuming, they're looking at how you interact with the audience, all that kind of stuff. They don't have that experience, but they're playing pretty well. But the thing I noticed that you don't see as many young black kids doing blues. They're into the rap and the hip-hop, and they're not looking at the blues. So I don't know how we'll bridge that to get the younger African-American kids involved into it, but
that's what we're here for. That is what we're here for, because blues and hip-hop has so much in common. Hip-hop is several offsprings of the blues.
Right. It is.
You know,
really is.
Both are just the hollering of the people in the streets about injustice, oppression, etc., etc.
Right.
So that is one of our major missions, I have to say.
Oh yeah. We gotta be vigilant. We gotta be keepers of that mission. If we don't, it dies with us.
There you go, and we can't let that happen. We have.
Absolutely.
This is our African folk stories that we're passing down generations.
Exactly.
So how did you do at the IBC? How was it? How was the experience?
Now let's keep in mind, March I started doing the blues. May was the competition. The group that won, was a 4-member group, and I lost by 2 points. Now, this group has been into business for 25 years. And when the judges were judging, this is what they said. When I was on stage singing the last song, the guy, one of the judges, he threw up his pen and paper. He pointed his finger at me. He said, I can't give you no more points. He just threw up his pen and paper, walked away from the table, came right down front, and just started screaming my name. So I said, okay, now keep in mind, Peoria, if you know anything about the area, the little suburbs in Chicago, Peoria is a predominantly Anglo-Saxon city.
Okay.
I think that's the politically correct term to say. It's a predominant Anglo-Saxon community, and my band was dressed in all white. I had 4 musicians. I had 3 background singers. And our harmonies were tight. The bottom line was that our harmonies were so tight that they were flawless. And the music, because I have a phenomenal band, the music was so rich that it did. You know how when you go to a concert, they have to mix it a certain way to give it a certain sound?
Yes.
We came with the sound. We didn't have to create a sound based on the sound engineer. We came with the sound. And in doing so, when I started singing, because it's a festival, they have the main stage where we're performing it for the contest, and other people at the main stage where the paid performers are getting paid at. Within 5 minutes of making the first note, the entire arena where the contest was at was filled.
Wow.
Within 5 minutes. I went first because I wanted to set the bar. I
That's
knew
right.
that this cards was stacked against me because I'm not of the same tan as the people I was competing against. I competed against 15 bands. There were 3 eliminations. I made it down to the final 4. And the group that I spoke of, they won, and I lost by 2 points. So the promoter said that we were so good, in fact, that even though the winning band gets, of course, to go to Memphis for the challenge, but he's going to call us back to do a festival hit anyway because we were just that good and the crowd just went wild. I had never experienced getting off the stage and then coming to my merchandise table to purchase my CD, and I had a line out the gate. Never experienced that before in my life. So I knew then and there, if I wasn't sure after doing Buddy Guys in March, but when I came in May and saw that, if I hit the road, I'm definitely going to sell out CDs and arenas. I really believe that because that gave me an indication. They didn't know me, and they didn't have to love me because I wasn't from their town. I'm from Chicago. So
right.
For them to love me, that was awesome.
I'm from Chicago. I hear that. So, let's talk about that then. Let's talk about what the judges look. And again, and this is for the up-and-coming musicians and artists. Right. Don't be so caught up and wrapped up in competition because the reality of the situation is you're doing this to express. But we're going to find out what the judges look for. It just may help what you're doing right now. Right. So please share with us.
Well, initially, when I got the rules and regulations, the first thing is they want to make sure you're not a garage band. You know how some folks get together and hang out and they just play music on the weekends just because?
Right. So
you have to send them a 3-song demo that clearly demonstrates you're not a garage band. Well, the fact that my CD was already being done for the Buddy Guy show a few months before, my CD was already ready. So all I had to do is make a copy of it, send it to them, and they can hear the production where, in this particular version I gave them, was not mixed or mastered. But the purpose, I wanted them to truly hear what my voice truly sounds like before you sweeten it up, so to speak.
No, that's a good call. That's a real good call.
Exactly. And most people try to sweeten it up trying to impress. You give them what you got, because if their sound people don't do good, what you're gonna do is gonna be the same thing they heard on the CD to begin with. So there's no mistake in it, no trickery, none of that.
Right.
So as a matter of fact, he called me back a couple of days after he received it and said his wife said that he's playing it so much. He said, "Is the CD going to ever break?" And I was like, "Oh." He said, "I can't guarantee you," is what he tells me, "that you're going to be in the competition, but I got a secret suspicion that you will."
All right, now.
The fact that he's playing it every day, I know I'm going to be in it, right? So now we're going to take this assumption that I've impressed you now. So now I got to drive us to Peoria. Now, most bands in Chicago, and I have to say it, this is how they are, they come to the gig because blues is supposed to be a comfortable, kind of Southern, kind of, you know, this is your journey kind of thing.
Right.
Blue jeans, T-shirt, gym shoes, baseball hat. No, 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 no. I come from a jazz background. When you do a jazz show, you dress the best you could possibly dress. Band members, singers, everybody, even the people handling your equipment, they got to change clothes when they finish loading that equipment in because they can't even walk around with blue jeans and T-shirts on.
No, you're right.
So
this is a business.
Exactly. Impressions are lasting. This is my first time ever to impress Peoria, Illinois.
That's right.
So every member had on white, all white from head to toe. This is summertime. White is crisp and clean. It makes you look fresh. I wanted to be fresh. Even my attorney, he had on white as well. He was at the table selling the CDs. That's another story. But everybody had on white. So when we hit the stage, everything, and I have a stage plot too. For people that are getting into the business, when you show up to a venue with a stage plot, that lets them know that you're a professional, that lets them know that you're about the business, and that lets them know that if they're going to set up your thing according to your stage plot, you're going to expect them to be very vigilant as to how they deliver the sound for you.
Right.
If you act like you don't care, they're going to give you the basics. They're not going to give you a concert, festival, arena kind of sound. So with that being said, it was important that I created that impression. Of course, I've studied this market. I've been groomed. I know and see what you need to do. Just from years of being the musician's wife.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's really, really funny. You answered my next question because I wanted you to actually go into that, but you already did. I just want to point it out. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just, because this has been a journey, I just remember and chronicle every little bit of that's why I happen to mention that. But so when I hit the stage, now most of the people that are competing, they're nervous. So nobody wants to go first. I'm like, oh, no, let me go first because I know coming from Chicago, can't nobody out-sing somebody from Chicago. I don't care where you go. I don't care where you're at. You cannot out-sing a blues singer from Chicago that happens to have a neo-soul flavor to their voice.
Right.
Can't do it. Because first, you ain't expecting it to sound neo-soul and have blues chord progressions. Everything is 1-4-5 or it's a shuffle or whatever, but you got that neo-soul kind of rich-sounding, sultry voice in there, which is not what you used to hearing the gut-wrenching, holler-it-out kind of blues. But I'm going to give you something that's easy to listen to, that's tantalizing to the ear, and then you got the progressions that blues have, and a harmonica player. The guitar player is very important to Chicago Steel Blues. You got these guitar licks that kind of sound rock and roll-ish that the blues players play. So you got all these dynamics going on that makes you say, that's kind of interesting. And they got background singers, too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I impressed them. But I couldn't, and I understand politics. If somebody has been in business for 25 years, trying to do this for 25 years, there's no way you can let the hometown favorite lose to a stranger.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
And I'm not mad about that at all because at least I know where I rank outside of my geographical area.
Right.
2 points, I feel like I'm still a winner at losing by 2 points.
No, you're right.
I really do.
Because that means it was a close decision.
Oh, yeah. Could have went either way. And, you know, and as a matter of fact, I was such a good sport. These guys have never been to Chicago, have never played in Chicago venues. They gave me a promo package. I hand-walked it into Buddy Guys, to the booking agent, Mark Maddox, in Chicago, and gave it to him to give them an opportunity to be able to come and play in Chicago.
Wow.
That's how good a sport I was. Sure did.
Well, that's good. That's professional. That's integrity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the only way I know how to be.
So now let's get back to that little statement that I had to harbor on for a moment. Being married to an established composer musician and being around the legends of Chicago blues, that gave you a blueprint. Let's talk about that a bit.
Well, when I look at the blueprint, when you're a national touring artist like Koko Taylor, of course you have a manager that's on the scene. The manager is going to make sure all of your writer things are taken care of. Most new independent artists are not aware that you have a right to have a writer, and you're entitled to that writer to make sure that you're comfortable. So even with the contest in Peoria, we had a writer for that. Even though we weren't getting paid and we were competing, it was you had to have at the bare minimum towels, water, refreshments, things like that. And as a major artist, of course, she has 25 guest passes.
Right.
She has the type of liquor, if she decides to drink it, whatever kind of liquor or pop or juice, whatever the band wants to have, the type of food they want to have, or they're given $25 per man to go out and buy something to eat. They're given air-conditioned dressing rooms or trailers or whatever the case may be. If they need an assistant to go run errands back and forth or whatever, she's too old to do that. Somebody needs to go. If she wants you to go to the drugstore and get her a little sewing kit because she got a rip in something, you got to run and go get that sewing kit and bring it back to her, that kind of thing. So in being exposed to that, I know what I need to ask for, and I know that you can get it. It's not a thing of be afraid to ask for it. You ask for what you think you want and what you think you need, and they'll either meet you there or not. Like if I'm going to Japan, for example, I can't carry a bass cabinet and a bass head. I can't carry a piano. I can't carry keyboards. I can't carry a drum set. I have to have those backline things there when I get there.
Right.
So that my band, and I have to have the specific stuff that my band is used to playing with.
Right.
So things like that are important to know, that when you're trying to give a professional presentation and you want to have the same kind of sound you had that they happen to see in your environment, they liked you for that, you got to make sure you cover those items in your rider so that you don't have any problem. Let's say, like I mentioned earlier about the Janet Jackson thing. If you need to have some pyrotech things going off, you say how many pyro, this, that, and the others you need. You say if you need a riser for your drummer, they rotate, and you need smoke as he's rotating, you say that.
Right.
That way, you give the best show you can give out of the country as if it were just at home. It should be as comfortable as it is at home out of the country. Same difference.
Okay.
It shouldn't be any kind of transition between the two. It should be just equally as comfortable. And I benefited from knowing that because I was just Koko. So even transportation, when you book a gig, you figure in your mileage. If the gig you're trying to do is more than, let's say, 25 miles from your home base, you need to charge a mileage fee. And if the place is maybe 100 miles or more from your place, they need to pay for plane tickets for your group. A lot of groups, when they're new, they don't know that you can demand to have your entire unit where you are. But some people will accept sending the charts, sending the sheet music or the music ahead of them, letting local musicians play it and hope that they get the same sound.
Right, because they're hungry to play.
The sound is good. You can't hope that. You have to know that the sound is going to be on point, which is why you have your own band flown in.
Right.
Things like that.
I hope you guys are taking notes.
Which is a whole mouthful, right? I get
hope...
passionate about my rider. That was a mouthful. I'm out of breath.
No, but those things are important because if just the water and the towel alone could change the dynamics of your performance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about your writing process.
Okay.
When you're creating your songs, the concepts, do you listen to the music and let's take you to places? Do you, after experiencing something, say, you know what, I need to write about this? How does that work?
Well, my writing comes about in about 3 or 4 different ways. The first way is I'm sitting down, not necessarily thinking about anything in particular, and I might think about somebody or think about a past situation or a past relationship or something. Like this one thing, I like going to the South, and I said, you know what? I like going to the South, but I like playing around in the South. So this one song that didn't make the CD was called Play Around in the South. So it talks about an old woman putting a young girl to shame. Theme that you heard this theme before. Everybody just kind of recycles things, but that's what it boils down to. And I was thinking about just having fun because I want to go around the South, and I'm not old, but I know old women can put the young women to shame. So I just kind of And I called my producer up. I said, you know what? I got this idea, playing around in the South. And so I kind of tell him about it, and he'll say, well, you know what? Email it to me real quick. Let's see what you got. So I emailed it to him, and he said, let's change this and move this here and move that there so it'll flow better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he'll start playing a melody line. I'm like, okay, I like that. And then he'll layer that with something else. He's a phenomenal piano player, this Dionne Warford, musical genius. So he'll start layering it, then he'll put a beat in there, and then he'll add the bass line. And by the time you're all said and done, in a 30-minute phone conversation, the whole song is fully orchestrated.
Wow.
Then he pops it to me in Dropbox. Then I pop it to all the musicians, the bass player, the guitar player, the drummer, everybody. They come to the studio, and they just play it on the spot. And that's how a song comes about. That's one of the ways. Another way is my singing co-partner, Chris Michael. They can have a song and an idea that I've already written. He hadn't come up with any music or anything, so he'll send the words that I've written to Chris Michael. Chris Michael is a phenomenal singer. As a matter of fact, he just competed for The Voice a few weeks ago. He's waiting for information on that. But he'll listen to it, and he'll come up with a melody. So he'll sing it a particular way. Say, hey, Legs, you like it? His voice he's a tenor that's kind of in the same vein that I am. He'll sing. He said, Legs, check this out. I just did a melody to your song. So I'll listen to it. And anybody, as you know, when you learn cover tunes, you listen to what the person sang, and then you sing it. So what he does is he makes mine, in effect, a cover tune. I'm listening to what he sung on my song, and then I redo it. Now, of course, my styling and the way that I phrase is different than he does, but it gives me a roadmap as to how to sing the song, and I can make changes here or there or whatever, because it's my song, however I want to do it. And that's another way that I approach some of my songs. I write it, send the words to the producer. He comes up with the music, sends the music and the words to the singer, and they give it back to me.
That's the full team. Well. You sound like a label already.
Yeah. I've established my label. I've had the label name since 1993 when I first got married to the piano player. So I established my label in 93. I just haven't done anything with it because I'm trying to see if I'm going to do the record deal and see what I'm going to do with it. Because I wanted to make sure when I established it that early into doing it is so that I can show longevity.
Right.
It wasn't so much that I was ready to put anything out, but you had to have a label at that time to be able to publish and be able to get your BMI credits and your publishing credits with the Library of Congress. So that was why I established it early on.
Smart. Now, you know what? Let's talk about that because I'm a member of BMI as well. And there's some people that ask, ASCAP or BMI, which one and why and this and that and the third. Let's talk about your experience with BMI. If my assumption is correct, you're a BMI artist as well.
Right. What ended up happening, when I first, back in the 90s, BMI and ASCAP wasn't as electronically proficient, if you get what I mean.
I do.
They weren't electrified, basically. They had web presence, but it wasn't all technical and all the things you had to do. You just sign up, and at that time, I think it was even free back then. Now you have to pay to be a BMI, but it was free when I signed up. And
you have to pay now?
BMI own. Say it again?
You have to pay now?
I think you do. I think it's $80 or $150 or something. I don't remember right now, but
I'm happy I signed up back then too.
Yes, it didn't cost anything then. No. So the reason why I picked BMI is because I was told through the grapevine and talking to my counterparts that ASCAP was really for country music, and ASCAP was more for that kind of genre of music, whereas BMI was a little broader and it dealt with R&B and soul, and I think jazz and blues, because I don't think hip-hop was as prevalent back then, so hip-hop wasn't a big major factor at that point.
Right.
And that's why I picked BMI, because I considered the young folks, trademarking company was what I thought.
Right.
And I discovered, and they made it very easy to become a publisher. If you have 5 published songs at that point in time, you can go from not only just a writer, you can go to publishing as well. So when you put music out, of course, you get the publishing credit, you get the writer's credit, and you get the performing credit.
Right.
You get all the credits as far as the points are concerned by doing it that way. So that was why I picked BMI, because I thought it was the younger people's, trademark registration company.
Now let's do. You spoke about points and publishing and songwriting credits. How important is that?
Well, if you're the writer of the song, you are the performer of the song and the publisher of the song, the royalty percentages skew in your favor. So let's say you got a record label and you just performed the song, kind of like I believe, and quote me if I'm correct, Whitney Houston was a performer. She was never a writer, I don't think.
Correct.
So if I gave dollars and cents, for example, let's say that to be a performer, you get 10 points equals to 10 cents. Let's use it as a small number. So out of 100 points, which is like $100, all she got was $10. Now, sure, the percentages worked out a little differently, but I would rather be on the bigger portion end of it by writing and publishing and performing it. Nowadays, you have to also go to CSAC, which is a performance entity that you have to get so you can get credit for performing.
Right.
And you also have to do the thing for it's a sound scan, so whenever it spins, you get the points for the rotation.
Right.
And things like that. So it's a bunch of stuff you got to add now to make sure you get it cover everything. But for the basic general purposes, it's more important if you can be the writer and you can be the publisher and you can be the performer, you get the vast majority of the money. However, if you're on a label, then your label is going to want to get some control over that. And what's known in Chicago to happen is I can come to a label with my whole entire CD done, finished, mixed, mastered, labeled, packaged, everything done. But when I get there, wait, we need to remix that.
Right.
Now, why do they have to remix it? They remix it so they can get points or credits for remixing it, which generates money from them when the record is sold. And if you're not careful and don't have it in St. Malloy, you'll end up signing over your publishing and you sign over your writer's credits as well as the mixing and mastering part. So you have to be careful how you handle the business. It's not wise to do it alone. If you're pretty savvy, you've read your stuff, you've read this Business of Music book, then maybe, but I still say it's worth the dollar investment to get an attorney to make sure whatever you're signing, even if you have to give up them to let them remix it so they can have credit, it's worth it to have someone look over that information to make sure you're not signing the wrong thing away.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, as you present your music, what is it that you want the fans, the people, to receive from your expression?
I want people to know that blues is more than just about the struggle. Blues is more than just about how my baby done left me. In that particular vein. Mm-hmm. I want them to know that the man that was homeless and was walking down the street, he got a blues song to sing. What's that song? Walking the back street and crying the blues.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk the back street and cry the blues to be able to be a blues artist, to give people something to look forward to, something to enjoy, something to reminisce about, and take you to a place of happiness. Granted, blues is about some sort of a struggle, but it doesn't have to be wrenched in sorrow and dreariness. You know, when I come to the stage because I dress a certain way, first you're impressed that, oh, she's a blues singer? Oh, wow. Well, let's see what she has to say.
Right.
You get their attention. And then when you get their attention, the first note that comes out is not a smoky kind of scratchy voice. It's a very melodic, kind of soothing kind of voice. That's punchy because you got to get the people up and out of their seats. It's
right.
Punchy, and when you listen to the story, it's not such a bad story. Like, for example, one of the songs that I do is called Mo Better Blues, and it's about how my baby left me, but he forgot he left his money in the mason jar under the stool. It's a Zydeco kind of song.
Right.
It's got a Zydeco feel to it. The music and everything reminds you of Louisiana. Now, you laughed, which is my intention. You responded the way I wanted you to respond. Yeah, I'm sad that he left me, but guess what? I got this. I got the money he left in the mason jar under the stool. So it ain't so bad after all.
Right.
You know,
it's
so
a win-win.
It puts a turn on its shin, so to speak. I want it to turn around where it's sad, but it ain't all as sad as you think it is. Right. And I want to leave people with that, to feel some happiness, that there's hope in spite of what you're going through. They need to feel that. They need to be able to embody that and be able to carry that on and talk to their friends. But, girl, I heard this song about, girl, you ain't going to believe it. He left his money in the mason jar under the stool. It starts dialogue.
Right.
So that's what I want. I don't want to be sad and dreary and look kind of crusty and grimy on the stage. I want you to have fun. I want you to boogie in your seat if you can't get up. I want you to boogie on that stage. If I call you up, I even have a line dance. That More Better Blues song has a line dance that goes with it. I'm trying to capture everybody. Young folks like to do line dances. Some old people do. Then you got the songs that totally reach the older people, like I Thought I'd Let You Know. You need to pack your things and go.
Right.
Well, yeah. It's rhythmically, and you understand that he got to go. But the thing is, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to be nice about it. I don't have to be belligerent or indignant about it. I can let you know what I need you to know and not have to even go there.
Right.
And that's what
be
I want
classy
to
about it.
Think of when they, right. I don't want to blast you about it. Just say what you got to say and keep it moving. So that's kind of how I approach it.
I dig it. Now, where could the people find you? You're on Twitter, Facebook? What's going on?
Yes. I'm on Facebook. Facebook is Laja Furlance. I have a Facebook page. I also have a like page on Facebook. I am on Twitter. It's Laja Sings on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I think on Instagram, I'm Dr. Furlance on Instagram because I'm currently working on my PhD.
Oh, congratulations.
To believe it. Thank you. That's why I call myself Dr. Furlance now. I'll be going to medical school. I was due to leave to go to medical school in January, this past January, but my dad is in the hospital sick at this point, so I have to put it off.
Right.
But I will be the Master, PhD, MD, Dr. Furlance in the very near future. And I'm going to keep on singing the blues, and I'm going to keep that alive, too.
All right, now. Well, listen.
Let me mention this.
Oh,
it's
please.
Funny that I mention this. Parents tend to have their kids do music when they're in school, and studies have shown that kids that have an artistic outlet tend to do better in school. Well, you won't believe, Laja does exceptionally well by keeping my music alive and constantly as I chug away at practicing and rehearsing and things like that.
Right.
I don't know if my grades would be as good as they are if I did not have music. As a matter of fact, music is so important with my education that I'm currently running a 98.6 GPA average with Grand Canyon University for my PhD that I'm enrolled in right now. So I will never stop doing the blues because it really is an excellent outlet for expressing yourself, be it emotionally or artistically. It's just a great vehicle to express yourself, and it does help me maintain my averages at school.
Dig it. Well, it was a pleasure to finally have you on the show, Laja.
It was awesome. I enjoyed talking with you. This was so awesome.
Yeah, well, don't worry because we're going to have you back.
Oh, I look forward to it. And I hope to be playing in New York one day soon.
Well, you know what?
Awesome.
That would be, and if we can help you do that, then we will. Actually, you know something? We do have, we'll talk off air about a couple of things because we do have some things that we're setting up that we would love to have you part of if we can make that happen.
Okay, sounds awesome. Sounds excellent. As soon as the music video for Busted is completed, I'll shoot you a copy so that you can have it for your viewing pleasure. And you're going to find it quite hilarious.
Groovy, that's what it's about. Well, look, you all heard it here. Hopefully you heard it here first. You've been bluesing with Laja and Jack from Talking About the Blues. And as you all know, there's two things you got to keep doing. Keep praising and keep bluesing.